She used to date a resident tortured artist, Xavier Thorpe, but they broke up at the beginning of the semester. Reason unknown.
Fascinating.
I know, right? My blog is like the #1 source.
Looks like we might have just stumbled upon a tease for Wednesday Season 2. The new setting hints that there could still be some hope for one character's redemption. But what happens when an outsider enters a world built for outcasts? Could a regular human actually survive at Nevermore Academy with all the werewolves, vampires, and gorgons roaming around? As Wednesday prepares for Season 2, let's dig into whether Nevermore is strictly for the supernatural, or if there's room for a normie to shake things up. We've got a little tease for Wednesday Season 2, and it hints that one character's storyline is far from finished. While there's not a ton of info on what's coming up in the next season, which is expected sometime in 2025, Netflix did drop a short teaser on X, and it might have dropped some pretty juicy hints. If this teaser holds up, it seems like Wednesday might be revisiting a familiar face from Season 1 who still has plenty of room for growth. The teaser shows Jenna Ortega's Wednesday reading through a file detailing the gruesome murder of a seemingly innocent victim. She describes the rigors of rigor mortis and points out the stab wounds before closing the file and saying goodnight to Thing. In a cute twist, Thing is tucked in for bed like a little kid, which is kind of adorable when you realize Wednesday considers reading about murder as her version of a bedtime story. But what does this moment really mean for the next season? Well, there's one clue that stands out. The file mentions Willow Hill Psychiatric Hospital, which is the place where Tyler Galpin ended up after Season 1. This raises the possibility that Wednesday might have snuck into the hospital to swipe the file for her own investigation, and maybe even to track down Tyler again. Tyler, who was revealed to be the Hyde monster causing chaos in Season 1, seemed pretty evil by the end of the season, but there's still a lot of mystery surrounding his character. While a romance between him and Wednesday is definitely off the table, there's a chance Tyler could play a role in helping Wednesday with her next investigation. If he's willing to separate himself from Miss Thornhill's influence, maybe he could even redeem himself a little, or he could turn out to be exactly what he seemed to be in Season 1, a villain who's too dangerous to let go. Either way, Willow Hill might hold some key answers. Now, besides the possible return of Tyler, Willow Hill Psychiatric Hospital itself offers a whole new set of mysteries for Wednesday. There are still a ton of unanswered questions from Season 1, especially about Tyler's mother, Francois, and her connection to the Hyde bloodline. Her death wasn't fully explained, and it seemed like both Nevermore and the town of Jericho worked hard to cover up what happened. If Willow Hill is a major part of Wednesday's investigation, she's bound to uncover some pretty dark secrets about what went down. And who knows? This setting could even introduce new mysteries we haven't even seen yet. For example, the file Wednesday reads mentions a murder victim with knife wounds, which doesn't seem to match any previous deaths in the show. Could this be a new victim tied to Wednesday's stalker, or maybe another crime pinned on the outcasts of Nevermore? Only time will tell, but if there's one thing we know about Wednesday, it's that a psychiatric hospital filled with supernatural beings is sure to bring all kinds of creepy, thrilling twists to the story. Now let's dive into Wednesday and her school, Nevermore Academy, which is a boarding school for students with supernatural powers. But here's the twist. We don't really know if it's open to regular, non-supernatural people or normies. At the start of Wednesday Season 1, Wednesday is attending a regular high school. That is, until she unleashes live piranhas in the school pool as payback for bullies who tormented her brother. Needless to say, she gets expelled. So her parents decide to send her to Nevermore Academy, their old school, which is basically a haven for outcasts, freaks, and of course, monsters. Oh, and there's a murderous Hyde running loose too. In the town of Jericho, where Nevermore is located, it's the normies who are the outsiders. The people without supernatural abilities are considered the odd ones out in a place full of werewolves, vampires, gorgons, and even sirens. Wednesday, for instance, has psychic powers that let her see into the past and future of anyone she comes in contact with. And it's not just the students who are supernatural. Most of the faculty are too. So the question remains, is Nevermore only for kids with paranormal abilities, or could a normie attend? Well, here's the deal. Right now, there aren't any normie students at Nevermore, but that doesn't mean it's off limits for them. Nevermore doesn't teach any mandatory magical classes, so a normie could technically attend and take the same classes as everyone else. It's not like Hogwarts, where only witches and wizards are welcome, and subjects like charms and potions are part of the curriculum. At Nevermore, students get the usual education, with a few dangerous monsters thrown in for good measure. So although Nevermore is home to supernatural beings, it still functions like a regular school in a lot of ways. But would a normie actually want to go there? Well, given that the school is full of creatures like werewolves and vampires, it might not be the most welcoming environment for someone without supernatural powers. It would probably be pretty intense for a normie to fit in. Speaking of fitting in, there's only one normie faculty member at Nevermore, Marilyn Thornhill, played by Christina Ricci. Ms. Thornhill teaches botanical sciences and serves as the dorm mom for Wednesday and Enid. She definitely sticks out among the other teachers who all have supernatural powers. This could explain why her character eventually becomes the big villain of the first season after all. Being the only regular person in a school full of monsters kind of makes her an outsider too. Now, if a normie did decide to enroll at Nevermore, they'd face some serious challenges. While supernatural students are used to being the freaks at other schools, a normie would be in the opposite position. They'd be the ones who don't fit in, surrounded by all these otherworldly creatures. Plus, after Season 1's dramatic events like Miss Thornhill's villain reveal, a normie would probably have an even harder time. The supernatural students already had some bias against normies, but with the reveal of a normie being the bad guy, it might make things worse. It's possible that Wednesday Season 2 could explore what would happen if a normie tried to enroll at Nevermore. It would definitely shake up the dynamic, and the students would have to deal with the idea of a normie being part of their world and maybe even test the boundaries of where they belong. And let's not forget Wednesday. Season 1 introduced a bit of a problem with Enid's character arc, but Season 2 could fix it. Enid, Wednesday's energetic werewolf roommate, quickly became a fan favorite, especially with her big moment at the end of Season 1 where she officially wolves out and becomes a full-fledged werewolf. However, her transformation didn't quite align with the build-up from earlier episodes, especially when you look at the parallels drawn between her struggles and real-world family dynamics. Throughout Season 1, Enid faced pressure from her family to transform into a full werewolf, something expected of her by her age. But she could only extend her claws, which made her feel like a disappointment to her mom. Enid begged her family to accept her for who she was, but in the end, they got what they wanted. She turned into a full wolf. This moment, while celebrated, sort of threw out the meaningful metaphor that had been built up earlier. The show made a pretty clear parallel between Enid's situation and real-world experiences of not being accepted by family, like conversion therapy aimed at changing someone's sexuality. Enid's decision to stand up to her family was powerful, but the fact that she eventually turned seemed to undermine this. It made her journey feel less about self-acceptance and more about meeting her family's expectations. Looking ahead to Season 2, there's still a chance to make Enid's story stronger. Instead of completely transforming, she could return to her more limited werewolf form, showing that she can still be a hero without changing who she is. It would be great if Enid could have a conversation with her family, explaining that she accepts her powers as they are. And that's that for today's video, folks. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content.